Hey guys, what's up? 7stop here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about radio apps, which are a little known immersion source that I think you guys should check out. So I'll just be briefly introducing a couple of the apps, like 2 apps that I've used that I think you guys should check out. I've actually rarely seen this source of immersion discussed in the community, like maybe only once or twice, but there's this thing called radio apps, which a lot of Japanese people use, and it's basically people live stream themselves like a radio talking, it has some things in common with live streams like you'd see on YouTube, but there's also the other benefits that I think would be useful to learners. So number 1 is that the speech is highly natural. So there's obviously YouTube, which is one of the most natural sources of immersion to get used to how people in real life speak. But the way people speak in YouTube is not necessarily the same as in real life. Now, it's much more similar than something like anime or movies or dramas, but it's still different. In YouTube videos, like think about in English even, when people make YouTube videos, they often play themselves up for the camera like I'm doing right now. And like as they would say in Japanese, they have higher tension, I guess, than usual. But in radio apps, it's almost like exactly just normal people talking, which is really useful. A lot of the time, it'll just be some like random dude just like mumbling into the microphone, just having like a very soft conversation, and they're not trying to play it up for the camera or seem entertaining at all. It's just like normal people talking. And the second thing that I think is really useful is that it's a great way to practice output in a low stress environment. So this could also go for regular live streams on YouTube or something, where you can chat in the comments or something to have a conversation with the live streamer. But in YouTube, in visual based mediums, a lot of the time they're playing a game or doing something else or discussing a specific topic. But in these radio apps, usually it's just some random person just chatting nonsense on the call. And also, typically they only have, well, it depends on which radio app, but a lot of times they'll only have like 1 or 2 people listening and typing in the chat. So they will see and read your messages. And these apps are all about interaction. So if you put a message, they'll probably read it and say something, respond to you and see you, and you can have a real conversation with them basically through this. Well, it's not a real conversation using your voice, but through this text, you can type stuff in there and they'll respond with voice, and you can basically have a conversation with someone using this. And you can also talk to them with your voice, because both of these apps I'm going to introduce have a function where you can, they call it in Japanese like go up, agaru, into the stream and talk to the streamer. And you can have lots of people in there, you can get groups together, and I've actually made friends on these apps, just like talking in the chat with someone. Since there's only a few people, you get to know each other personally, and you can go up and talk to them, and it's really awesome. So it's great for output, and you can make real friends on here. Whereas if you go on, like you can do it on other apps, like say Tandem or HelloTalk, you can make friends on there, but it's very difficult, and those apps are kind of like pseudo dating apps a lot of the time. Whereas on these radio apps, you might be able to make a real connection with the streamer. So the 2 apps, number 1 is StandFM. So StandFM is basically a radio app. It has all these functions I've been describing. You can join streams, and you can talk to people and go up into their calls. And by the way, that's something that the streamer has to enable themselves, and you have, well, it depends on the one I think, but you have to be approved to go join the call. The difference between StandFM and the other one, Spoon, that I'm going to be talking about, is more of a community thing. Like StandFM is, I guess, a bit more professional, but it also has a far smaller community. And so it might be harder to find streams and streamers that you enjoy listening to. But at the same time, I feel like people on there are a little bit more welcoming, and that tends to be older people, whereas Spoon tends to be younger people. But that can be have its ups and downs. Like maybe you could connect more with a younger person because you're younger, but at the same time, the people on Spoon seem a little bit less inviting, and they have more jargon and a little bit more hostile to outgroups. Whereas on Spoon, they're very welcoming, I think, but they're much older, the demographic. As I mentioned earlier though, Spoon has a much larger community. Like there's so many streams going at the same time, whereas on StandFM there may only be like a handful of streams running at a given time. And so that's something you should be aware of. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful. Please check out some of my other videos. I only have 2 right now. But thank you for watching. Hope you check these apps out. Links will be in the description.